doesn't mean that you left anything deliverable on the table. So why would you run an earned value system based on effort? As a matter of fact, it's illegal. Earned value, by its very nature, says you shouldn't have more than 20% of LOE in any program because it invalidates the other 80%. 20% of just this I came and I saw and I conquered means that the 80% is completely untrustworthy. I move on because I'm told I'm halfway through. The other thing that I found really bizarre is physical progress. Physical progress, or your QSs, that is your safety valve, because all of these other things in your projects are coming from automated systems, more or less. Your schedule is baseline, you're getting a report. Your cost is coming out of Oracle, so you're just getting whatever you've invoiced. The only thing that makes sure that you're not being completely lied to is the human element that someone went out there and looked to see if that work was actually physically in this world. If you're not doing a timely and a coherent progress collection, you're fooling yourself. All your data will tell you you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. You'll go out there on site one day and there'll be nothing there but daisies. You must do that. That is your security blanket when systems start to lie. And just while I stay here, because I know you guys are planners, but timely data as well. There's always going to be the pretty young thing on the block as far as program management. I think Ben is one of them. I think they're here. Lovely tool, have nothing against it. But all of these tools require one thing: good, timely data. Those great little slides you see, that front end, is useless if the data feeding it is not consistent, timely, and good. All it'll do is give you a pretty picture. So you've got to have timely data, and we struggle with that in programs. We struggle with just getting data in at the right time every month. And I used to tell my guys, this is the lowest form of management life. If you can't do something once a month, you're really in trouble. So I am a results-oriented guy. The programs that I have fixed, I have gone in myself and fixed. I didn't do it by doing a big bang approach on anything. 9 times out of 10, I just went back to basics and ensured people were responsible, delivered their data on time, and owned their responsibility within the program management system. I'll just flash this up here because this is room for all of us should hang our heads in a bit of shame. I mean, that's just diabolical. That is just diabolical. But that is a reality. In some cases, it's even worse than this. And we have to own that. As professionals, we have to own that. What's gone wrong with us, that's our reality. I show this to all my guys when I show up at a program. And they all look, most of them take one look at me and then start looking for other jobs. The ones that actually stay, when I show this to them, pass out. This is a program control system. Nothing here is optional, and you should be able to explain every square and every line on it. There's nothing there optional. When I do this, they can get a bit more with the program. The problem I have, and the problem I'm seeing today, and I've got nothing against tools, they're really nice and great, but they tend to live only in one of those boxes. And here's the brief. Having a great reporting system and no change control is completely useless. Having great document management and not delivering anything, completely useless. And I told one guy, if you have every block there, 100% perfect in your company, but your change control isn't there, it's probably good for about a month. Then it's completely useless. The key that I've found to make projects work is that all of those blocks need to understand and know what their responsibility is to the block next to it. And someone like me, if I might, in my humble opinion, needs to tell people what their responsibilities are and have a vision for how this works. And I don't let people wander around in my program control system. Because you're planners, I thought I would tell you again. For me, And this is, again, something I found, which really stunned me, is the first time I came to the UK, first big project, people just came up with the schedule, born like Venus from the waves. They just said, here's my schedule. I said, well, oh, I don't remember, a statement of work, generation, or review. Oh, no review. Here's my schedule. So you haven't done statements of work, you haven't identified dependencies, you don't know what your outputs are, you haven't done any bottom-up estimates, but I have a schedule. Well, yeah. And then here's what happens. I had a customer say, Patrick, I don't know why I got 100 changes a month. There's something wrong with my change system. No, there isn't. There's something wrong with your scope. The reason you have 100 changes a month is because you did a schedule without doing any brain work as to whether that schedule was valid or not. You just had a best guess. Then, of course, what happens is you start to change it as soon as you baseline it. Then you get 100 changes a month. Nothing wrong with your change system. No change system can do 100 changes a month. Even if they're selling you one out there, no system can do 100 changes a month. So schedule is king. Schedule is centric. Work that's being done must be done in the schedule. All of those boxes that I've got blued out there are just telling you those are things you do before you get to a schedule. And look at what surrounds that schedule. I can tell you I've only been to 2 companies the whole time I've been here for 12 years that actually have risk integrated into the schedule. Usually risk is just something that exists on the opposite side. I compare it to a cheetah. It just sort of lopes along the herd and keeps up a bit. It has to be linked to the schedule. And then you know what clients tell me? Patrick, I can't give guys to give me back risk money. That's my problem. They hold it, those bastards. They hold it until the very end, knowing that I need that money. And I go, well, yeah, but did you do statements of work? Well, no. What's that got to do with risk, Patrick? Well, statements of work identify what WBS element spawns what risk. Once you've identified what WBS element spawns a risk, guess what you have? A start date and an end date. Once you have a start date and an end date, you call him in at the end date and say, where's my risk money? He tells you, oh, I need it for something else. And you say, well, you give it back to me. You do another WBS and another work statement that shows me what the risk is, and then I'll give you back the risk money. If you're not doing that, of course you're not going to get risk money back. I feel like slapping some people sometimes. Why would you expect to get risk money back? And they say, oh, go convince them to give me money back, Patrick. That's like convincing someone to die. I say, hey, you're a program manager. I know you have nothing to do with program controls. I know you don't even love me, but I want you to inconvenience yourself and give me risk money back when you think you still might need it. A hard sell, especially for someone that looks like me. I didn't make it in this business on my good looks. But anyway, really important to have schedule at the heart of a program control system. Really important to have schedulers that understand what their responsibilities is at the heart of a program control system. Because if they don't understand, they won't actually give me quality schedules. Without a quality schedule, my system breaks down. It's as simple as that. It really is no. There's 2, well, actually I say 3 things that you need. I remember I had a talk with a big contractor that was working with us on BAA. And he was so confused, and he was terrible, problems about it, and earned values, schedules. And I said, look, forget everything and just do these 3 things. Control your costs and make sure they're linked to your schedule. Control your schedule and make sure all the changes that you do change your baseline. And do statements of work to actually understand your scope before you baseline your schedule. And I said, if you do those 3 things, your earned value will be good anyway. Now, if you don't deliver something, then obviously, but don't worry about earned value. He didn't believe me, but he actually did try it, and guess what? It worked. And it worked so well, they snatched him out of my business and put him in Crossrail. So I guess they must have liked it. I think I'm on my 1 minute left, so I'm going to have to end. But I'd like to just talk about why we think Mott thinks that this organization is our salvation. Going back to those numbers I just showed you, they're really depressing. At the heart of these numbers are program control professionals like yourself, especially planners. I can't tell you how disheartening it is when I talk to a planner and they have no idea of their relevance in an integrated program control system. It's happened so many times. And I think the more that you guys get together and the more you sort of police yourselves and the more that you talk about defining your roles, testing your own competencies, and becoming an internationally sort of accredited body of professionals, that you will help me automatically. I will get a better planner, a better class of schedules, and it can't help but make better program controls. I'll leave you with my little cartoon and take questions. Yes, sir.
Great presentation, by the way, very good.
Thank you.
You say 53% of the projects run over their budget, etc., etc. I still believe that we can improve, just like you said, by improving project controls. But there's a certain percentage where, in the beginning, if you make a budget for a project, then politically, could not even start the project if you estimated the budget to go 150, 200%. Maybe that's a reason that they don't introduce the project control cycle. They should have started already before they started the project definition. How do you feel about that?
You know, I think I hear the question there, and I think you're saying, well, maybe they fail and maybe they go over budget because we lowball the budgets anyway, because we know if we actually said how much it really cost, they wouldn't start. Take that point, but again, as program control professionals, not my first time at the dance, and I do have a bit of gray hair, I always get unrealistic schedules. I always get unrealistic estimates, but guess what? I reject those guys before I've had my first cup of coffee. The problem is, you should say to these guys, well, wait a minute, where are your bottom-up estimates to justify that cost? I've had people want me to sign a paper transferring 10 million quid based on a paragraph. I refuse to do it. I said, there's not enough data here for me to make a decision for 5 million quid. Go give me the detail. And when you stress them to give you the detail, guess what? You figure out that it's actually not viable. So I would still say to you, that's still our fault, because we should be crying wolf and the emperor has no clothes, because that's what we're supposed to do in program controls. We just don't accept what we're given. But thank you, very good question. Any other questions? Even from the gallery. All you beautiful people.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. That was very entertaining. Just one question.
Educational as well.
Yeah, absolutely. One question. I think we agree companies need program controls. How do you convince companies to spend money up front on program controls in order to save money? How do you convince them to spend money to save money before they even start?
Well, you know, you got it in one. That is the problem. And I think my company came up with a phrase, tactful audacity. I actually don't tell customers what they want to hear. I tell them what they need to hear. If I tell you that that works every time, I'd be lying. But I think the way you convince them, and I think it's a bit of our fault as well, is you have to look them in the eye and predict the future. Now, if they don't listen to you the first time, fair enough. But when I look them in the eye and I say, yes, you can do that, and yes, you don't have to put that system in, but guess what? You won't be able to find your documents 6 months from now. You'll just have a big pile of documents sitting on the floor, and you'll pay someone to come in for 3 weeks to find data that you could have easily spent money and to start and finish. So my view here is try to convince them with logic, try to be passionate, but more or less also be really intelligent and know your business. They won't listen to someone that's guessing. But after that, and they still say no, you're going to be in the back of their mind having said, you know what, Patrick warned me that this was going to come to grief. And 3 or 4 times that happens, they come back. But again, a very good question, and you just have to manage that. Any other questions? Thank you very much.